3, 2, 1.
More Republican states begin drafting legislation to block Joe Biden from the ballot. This is our election update. We got to switch that. We got to add Vivek. We got to add Vivek to that stinger. We have the stingers. We like our segments on this program. We actually have a brand new stinger for you that we're going to unveil called the Based Bomb in just a second. But first, ladies and gentlemen, Republicans are drafting bills to remove Joe Biden from the ballot. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. A Christmas goose, if you will, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a shilling. Here's 5 shillings. Go buy the biggest Christmas goose you can. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 Republican state lawmakers are now drafting legislation to remove Joe Biden from the ballots in Georgia, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. Ooh, that would hurt. This is according to Breitbart News. If Biden is removed from the ballots, the president will have a difficulty in winning Democratic primaries in the presidential election. Georgia, Arizona, and Pennsylvania are vital swing states. The 3 state representatives are drafting bills and they name the representatives here. God bless them. They're all heroes of the Republic. The state representatives aim to fight back against Democrats' so-called lawfare used to attack Donald Trump. What are these all based on? The name insurrection, because a real insurrection is not saying go and march peacefully to the United States Capitol. A real insurrection is not the video that we played for you yesterday. So that went thermonuclear. We put it up on X. Jeez, got like 30,000 reposts. The reason they took Trump off Twitter in the first place was he released a video that disproves the entire narrative, the wrap-up smear that they had created for him. Ladies and gentlemen, the real insurrectionist is the person who doesn't follow American law. The real insurrectionist is somebody who's using the American military. They're using our military against us. This is what the Biden regime is doing, because our military is going down and cutting the Constantina wire on the Texas border to violate states' rights and to facilitate an invasion of our nation. That is precisely what is happening right now, and that is true insurrection. The armed overthrow of a nation, that's what's happening. 10 million criminal migrants into our country in violation of our laws that were ratified by Joe Biden himself, the 1964 immigration law that says you cannot be here as an illegal. That's what Joe Biden has done. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a real insurrection. And so good for these states. They join Florida and Texas in following this primrose path that has been laid before us by Colorado. So can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. Texas Lieutenant Governor yesterday saying, we're going to rip Joe Biden off the ballot because he's facilitated an insurrection of our state. Colorado said that they themselves will be taking Donald Trump off the ballot in a 4-3 ruling because of an insurrection. Now, you have to be found guilty, for this to apply, the 14th Amendment, you have to be found guilty of insurrection. You have to be found guilty, jury of your peers. You also have to be, of course, losing on appeal, and you have to be an insurrectionist. Donald Trump has never been charged with insurrection. He's never even faced trial for this, nor has any of the J6ers, but it gets even worse. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Dershowitz, one of the foremost legal minds of our time, big-time Democrat too, was straight up saying, what's happening right now in Colorado is patently illegal. The court has no bounds to actually rule on federal elections. This is a state court. Colorado's unconstitutional anti-Trump judicial power grab triggered Republican retaliation and plunged 2024 election into chaos. Alan Dershowitz, there is no power in a state court to enforce the 14th Amendment. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our newest segment called a based bomb, when someone goes straight up based and bombs the fragile little minds of liberals. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Alan Dershowitz on our very first based bomb on The Benny Show.
Does this ruling now permit states to go rogue and determine, potentially without due process, who can and can't run for president?
Well, that's the implication. It doesn't get limited to Colorado. What the Colorado court said is that he committed insurrection, which they say under the 14th Amendment disqualifies him. But the problem is they haven't read the full 14th Amendment. Section 5 is clear as could anything could be. The Congress shall have the power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. It's up to Congress to enforce it, and they haven't done it. There is no power in a state court to enforce this. Colorado or California or anywhere else, and the Supreme Court, I believe, will come down very hard on Section 5 of the 14th Amendment. Look, think about it logically. The writers of the 14th Amendment were radical Lincoln Republicans in favor of Reconstruction. Do you think they would turn the issue over to Alabama and Mississippi to decide who can run for president? That's the last thing they would have done. They wanted to centralize power, obviously, in the Congress, not in the Confederate States.
So the only other presidential candidate to be ripped from the ballot was Abraham Lincoln. Donald Trump actually posted about this. Abraham Lincoln was taken from the ballot in 10 different states, Confederate states. So here our Democrats are going back to their factory reset programming of ripping Republicans off the ballot in their states. The factory reset for Democrats is the Confederacy. The factory reset for Democrats is racial segregation. This is what they're calling for. It is simple KKK, Brown versus Board of Education, Plessy versus Ferguson, segregation, Jim Crow laws now in place, just attacking different groups, right? Just attacking the other. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. So this is the factory settings that Democrats are on, and they're going to do anything that they possibly can to engage in what is the actual big lie, which is that Donald Trump is an insurrectionist. But we can disprove that in a single video. This is the video they never wanted you to see. This is the video that they took Donald Trump off social media for posting. Because Donald Trump spaketh truth, because Donald Trump was going to destroy their pre-planned insurrection narrative that they had, they couldn't have a video like this out. It's too inconvenient for them. Inconvenient further is that we have the video. Within 5 minutes of posting this, Donald Trump was taken off Twitter on January 6th. We got the video, and you deserve to see it once and for all to crystallize exactly how evil these people are. Go.
I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us, from me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
An evil system that is based on lies, that is based on corruption, that is based on a snake eating its own tail shall collapse. And you are beginning to see the first stages of that collapse right here in this next article. They never wanted you to see that video. That video proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that Donald Trump, of course, was not staging an insurrection. I don't like even repeating that because that's using their language. How can you insurrect, by the way, against a government of which you are the head of? Donald Trump's president. How can you stage an insurrection? Nobody was armed. The only person killed was Ashley Babbitt without warning. Cold-blooded murder. They needed the narrative. They needed the narrative because now the most dangerous thing they're charging Donald Trump with is the charges in Washington, D.C. from Jack Smith, the special prosecutor that was appointed at Joe Biden's demanding, screaming, those dentures fly out of his mouth, and Merrick Garland to a point. This is written in the New York Times. Joe Biden just ranting and raving that you gotta go after Trump. You gotta criminally prosecute Trump. Joe Biden is such a despot, such an evil man. One of the greatest psyops and greatest lies ever told to the American people is he's a good and decent man.